Hello, Richie Owens here from markmeldrum.com. Just a quick little video on the back of this week's CFA, or I guess when you're watching this, last week's CFA Level 1 results from February. A couple of interesting facts, I think, just to bring out. Let's look at the press release that the CFA put out. Here it is, New York City, 4th of April 2024. What do we have here? The February 2024 results. 44% pass rate. That is a leap from last time, a pretty significant 5% jump. So obviously, now a number of reasons you might just be picking this video up, but one of them might be that you're currently barreling towards the May 24 level 1 window, and maybe morale is kind of sapping, or you need a bit of a jolt. Well, a 5% jump in pass rates is good news, 44%, but it gets better. Just before I move on from that paragraph, look at this, 16932. That's pretty much holding up, pretty similar to last year's February sitting. So rumors of the CFA demise were a little bit previous. But let's jump down. A little bit of chat in the middle here about the historic average, fair enough. But it's the final paragraph that I'm interested in here. When I said those interesting data, look at this. We've conducted our analysis of the results of this cohort. We found first-time testers scored above the average pass rate with a pass rate of 52%. Those candidates who sat the exam having previously deferred their exam at least once, on the other hand, had an average passing rate of just 28%. So, if you're coming to the May window and this is your first sitting, there is a 52% pass rate for candidates like yourself. Just let that sink in, because it's around this time we start to get a lot of emails from candidates saying, not sure I'm ready, not sure I'm going to be able to take it now, can I defer, should I defer? My overwhelming answer is no. If you are heading towards the May exam, you still have 40 days left. Now, I said this video would be quick, but just a couple of points if you are going for May. As I say, you have 40 days to go. That's a long time. I appreciate you have jobs, you may have families, you may have outside interests and hobbies, but 40 days is still a long time. Rotate your topics over those final 40 days. Do not say, 10 topics, 40 days, 4 each, and I'm going to start today with 4 days on ethics, then I'm going to do 4 days on quant, and so on. That's crazy. You will get to the exam, and you won't have looked at quant for about 32 days. Rotate the topics, spaced repetition. That's what you're looking for. Do a little bit of quant, do a little bit of something else, come back to the quant. Best way to do that, in my view, mocks. If you attend the office hours, you'll hear me talking about this. Mocks are the best way because mocks are set up to be weighted like the exam. It makes sure you're studying the topics in the right weighting. So you do a mock, and then you use that mock to get better. What you do not do is as many mocks as you possibly can. Back-to-back mocks are utterly pointless. You do a mock, you get 62. You immediately turn around and do another mock and get 62. You've achieved nothing. Even if you do better, you've achieved nothing. The idea of a mock is to reveal your weaknesses. If you are feeling up against it, it's because there's some areas you're weak in. Which of those areas? The mock will tell you. You debrief the mock by going through every single question, right or wrong, finding out those you got wrong, finding out those you got right for the wrong reason, finding those that you just clung on to with your fingernails and got right, but you might get wrong next time. Then you go back to the source material and you actively read to find out why you were wrong. That is a much more entertaining way of studying than reading. The review period, these last 40 days, are much more entertaining than any other part of this study process because you are just getting victories every day. I didn't get that question. Why? Let's go back to the source material. Now I've got a reason to watch the source material because I know what the question was that I can't do. So you watch it with interest. You're actively trying to take everything you can from that video, squeezing the juice out of it and say, now I can do that question. Then before you sit the next mock, you write down on a piece of paper all the things you're better at. Now, of course, the way the mocks are set up, the next mock is going to test different things. So these things you're better at probably don't come up. So you might not see this huge 20% jump in your mark. That's not the point. Gradually, as an iterative process. By attrition, you'll just be getting better and better at little bits here and there until eventually you've got enough of the curriculum to get through. That's what people who sit their exam first time and pass do. So keep at it. Now, if you're picking up this video having had your results, if it didn't go well for you, my advice, jump back in November. I say my advice, jump back in. Clearly, there may be reasons outside of your control that, well, CFA level 1 just isn't going to happen for me again this year or ever. But you're probably not watching this video if that's the case. So assuming you're going to get back into it, I think November, couple of reasons. First of all, 16th of April is the early registration deadline. So you're going to save some cash by getting in early if you get in the next couple of weeks. And it gives you a solid chunk of time to reflect on what went wrong in that previous attempt. We're not talking 40 days now. If you're looking at November, you've got about 30 weeks, but still put the pressure on yourself. 30 weeks, 10 topics. That's only 3 weeks a topic. It's not forever. But what it allows you to do is sit back and really analyze that result sheet and think seriously about why you didn't get the mark you wanted or you thought you deserved in that prior attempt. And broadly speaking, there are a couple of reasons. Either you didn't study an area, or you didn't understand it. Now, didn't understand it, perhaps that's the wrong term. You didn't apply it properly. You didn't understand what was being asked, but you did study it. It just didn't go well for you, as opposed to you just didn't study it. This should be obvious. Are there areas that you just did not look at? That's step one. Classically, in courses I've taught in the past, I used to do live classes for people who are resitting. Derivatives, alternatives are areas they just don't get round to. FSA, areas they don't finish. So make sure you go and look at those areas. It might be for the first time, then it's just studying like you were first time round. If there are areas you didn't understand, it's really like the review phase that people are going through for May. You've got to be active. This is the bit I didn't understand. I'm not rushing through it now. I've not got 40 days to try and cram this in. And say to yourself, I've got 5 days. And all I want to do in these 5 days is understand what on earth a deferred tax liability is. 5 days. Get behind it, understand it, practice questions on it, and get the win. And you can just chalk one up. All right, that's one thing I've got. Then you move on, then you move on, then you move on. And as more and more areas click, you'll start to clean up all of this. You've got time to hit the areas you didn't study. And then you can hit that 40-day review phase by doing the mocks again, and you'll find your marks are spectacularly higher. Now, let's finish on a high note. It might be that you're watching this little clip because you got through level 1, in which case, obviously, congratulations. You're thinking level 2. My advice, level 2 November is the one to go for. Anything shorter than that, and you're putting real pressure on yourself. So I'd say hit November. The good news is you can get in before the early registration deadline. Level 2 is a different beast. The classic quote, inch deep and a mile wide at level 1. Yep, we go a little bit deeper at level 2. Fewer topics, more detail. Where do I start is a common question. My advice, if you want to pick up level 2 right here, right now, quant and derivs are great places to start. There are approximately 5,983 formulas in derivatives. If you hit derivatives with a few weeks to go with a mindset of, I'm just going to learn this and then vomit out the formula, it's not going to work for you. There are way too many. Instead, what you do is watch the video now and understand where these derivative formulas come from. They're all coming from the same place. Can you move cash flows around and get those cash flows back to a present value? If you can and you understand how and why that's working, you'll see that all of these formulas are just based on a few very simple ideas. But that's it. This is already too long. If you passed, congrats. If you didn't, get back on the horse, but plan your review strategy properly. If you're aiming for May, 40 days to go, keep at it. Keep actively learning. Come to the office hours. Get your questions answered. and start thinking about doing those mocks and debriefing them and working on your weak areas.